The right to bear arms tested in federal court. Judges weigh in on a case questioning San Diego rules on concealed carry permits.
We can now see how this railroad can make a difference in the quality of life for so many people on both sides of our border.
New life for a 70-mile stretch of railway in the San Diego County desert. The challenges in rebuilding the desert line connecting to the Baja California Railroad.
It's a lot faster to fly a drone over a field than it is to walk 1,250 acres of corn. It's impossible to walk at all. You can fly it and see it in one day.
Taking farming to new heights, how the latest drone technology will feed the world. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Amita Sharma. Californians don't have a constitutional right to carry a concealed firearm. That was the ruling today from the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals on a gun rights case out of San Diego County. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen has more.
Say you want a permit to carry a concealed gun. Right now, you have to prove to the San Diego County Sheriff that you actually need that protection. A three-judge panel of the Ninth Circuit Court struck down those rules in 2014, but the full Ninth Circuit Court upheld them. San Diego attorney Dan Eaton says the plaintiffs had argued concealed carry was their constitutional right.
And what this broader panel said is, what right? There is no right to carry a concealed weapon in public under the Second Amendment, going all the way back to 14th century England, all the way up to the present.
The California Rifle and Pistol Association was a plaintiff in the case. That group's president put out a statement saying the court was out of touch with mainstream Americans. He said law-abiding Californians who reside in counties with hostile sheriffs will now have no means to carry a firearm outside the home for personal protection. California Attorney General Kamala Harris initiated this latest appeal. She called the ruling a victory for public safety and sensible gun laws. Gun rights advocates say the case will likely be appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
The commander-in-chief following the drumbeat for unity today, President Obama will hit the campaign trail next week to support Hillary Clinton's bid for the White House. He announced his formal endorsement this morning in an online video. The president called on Democrats to unify behind his former Secretary of State's bid and build on the progress of his 8 years in the White House.
Look, I know how hard this job can be. That's why I know Hillary will be so good at it. In fact, I don't think there's ever been someone so qualified to hold this office. She's got the courage, the compassion, and the heart to get the job done. And I say that as somebody who had to debate her more than 20 times.
Clinton will campaign with the president next Wednesday in Wisconsin. The president's testimonial came as the Democratic establishment piled pressure on her primary rival, Bernie Sanders. He met with the Vermont senator in the Oval Office today. The president praised Sanders for engaging young voters and highlighting the issues of income inequality and money in politics. Democratic leaders want Sanders to step aside so the party can focus on defeating Republican presidential hopeful Donald Trump. Sanders says he plans to continue his campaign through next Tuesday's primary in the District of Columbia. Both presidential candidates got tangled up in a Twitter war over the endorsement. Donald Trump started it saying Obama just endorsed crooked Hillary. He wants 4 more years of Obama, but nobody else does. Clinton's campaign responded with the tweet, "Delete your account." A San Diego Lawyers Association wants to set the record straight after more controversial comments made by Donald Trump, who was taking aim at Judge Gonzalo Curiel. Trump says the judge belongs to a very strongly pro-Mexican club. He was apparently referring to San Diego's La Raza Lawyers Association. The association says they are a professional organization for Latinos and non-Latinos alike and are not associated with the National Council of La Raza, a civil rights and advocacy nonprofit. A spokesman also highlighted the dangers of Trump's line of thinking.
Yesterday was someone's ethnic heritage, today it's someone's religion, tomorrow it's their gender, and it'll just keep going and going until we are no longer the America that we know today.
Trump's comments about Judge Curiel were widely criticized by members of his party, including Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and House Speaker Paul Ryan. Tuesday was primary day in San Diego County and the rest of California. Reporter Joe Girardi with KPBS media partner iNewsSource has mapped and analyzed several key races. He joins us now to walk us through them. So, Joe, let's start with a race that's going to a runoff, North County's third supervisor race.
Sure. This race was a classic example of the candidates who win being the candidates who can turn out their bases best. Incumbent Dave Roberts, he's the blue, used to serve on the Solana Beach City Council, and that was his stronghold. Meanwhile, Encinitas Mayor Kristen Gaspar in red, she absolutely crushed it in her city, plus had pockets of support throughout the district. And that's the reason she topped Escondido Mayor Sam Abed and will be moving on to November to face Roberts.
Another competitive race going to a runoff is the city attorney's race. How did that play out?
Well, Democrat Mara Elliott surprised a lot of people by beating out Rafael Castellanos and Gil Cabrera to face Republican Robert Hickey in the fall. Castellanos cleaned up in the South Bay. He's in green. But Elliott, she's the blue, ran strongly throughout the city. Even in a lot of those red Hickey precincts, Elliott finished a strong second.
And we've got a potential third November-bound race, the city's first council district. Democrat Barbara Bree came very close to winning an outright majority on Tuesday and may do so once all the votes are in. How did she do it?
She's the blue, and she did it by running up big margins over Republican Ray Ellis in and around UC San Diego and along the coast, mostly limiting Ellis's winning precincts to conservative inland areas around Carmel Valley.
And lastly, a race that definitely won't be going to a runoff, the San Diego mayor's race.
Yeah, this one was a blowout. See all that red on the map? Mayor Kevin Faulconer absolutely dominated. He got 58% of the vote and won even in traditional Democratic neighborhoods south of the 8. Democrat Ed Harris, that little piece of blue, he got a little love from his old Ocean Beach constituents, and independent Lori Saldana won some precincts in Barrio Logan and UC San Diego, but Faulconer absolutely wronged.
Thank you very much, iNewsSource reporter Joe Girardi. And if you'd like to see how your neighborhood voted, check out the interactive map at iNewsSource.org. Starting today, you have to be 21 to buy tobacco products in California. KPBS health reporter Kenny Goldberg says the new age restriction also applies to electronic cigarettes.
The new restrictions are part of a package of anti-smoking bills that state lawmakers approved this year. Federal surveys show 90% of people who smoke start before they're 21. Ofelia Alvarado is with the American Lung Association in San Diego.
So this is going to be a big impact on the rate of smoking by teenagers. They're not going to be able to be targeted by the tobacco company anymore as what they call replacement smokers for those who quit and die from smoking.
People under 21 can no longer buy e-cigarettes or other vaping devices either. California joins Hawaii as having the nation's highest legal age to buy tobacco products. Kenny Goldberg, KPBS News.
The controversial End-of-Life Option Act law goes into effect today. The bill allows terminally ill Californians to request a drug to end their own lives. Only adults with 6 months or less to live have the ability to obtain the deadly prescription from their physician.
Death is not something that we all look forward to, but it can be a peaceful time. It can be a time where people make amends, where they talk to their loved ones, they gather with those they care about, and that's something that this law can preclude.
California became the 5th state to implement an aid in dying law after its passage by the legislature in 2015. A top U.S. health official is urging Congress to move faster on approving money to fight Zika. The director of the Centers for Disease Control says epidemics can spread in days and weeks, and the sooner Congress acts, the better. Late Wednesday, the Senate voted to begin talks with the House over funding measures. Zika is spread by mosquitoes and can cause severe birth defects. In its prime, the San Diego hospice served 1,000 terminally ill patients a day before closing its doors in 2013. Since then, the building has been used as office space by Scripps Health, and the grounds have remained open for the public to visit memorials to loved ones. Leo Castaneda with our news partner iNewsSource tells us that an unusual tenant will now be moving in.
Later this year, the Hillcrest building that once housed the hospice will become the temporary home to a fire station, while the current station on Ninth Avenue is completely rebuilt. In a memo to staff obtained by a news source, a Scripps administrator said the healthcare provider had signed a 30-month lease with the city of San Diego. Construction will begin in July for the temporary firehouse. That will include a garage to house the fire engine, as well as upgrades so that a 4-person fire crew can live at the station full-time. Construction crews will also install communication systems and alarms so that the fire crew can be dispatched. Scripps Health administrators told iNewsSource that the crew will use a currently empty part of the hospice building. He doesn't expect them to affect the current office space, and he said the grounds will remain open for the community to visit the memorials to loved ones that spent their final days at the former hospice. The hospice's own last days were mired in controversy and the threat of a massive debt burden from overbilling Medicare. Earlier this year, the finalized audit suggested the expected debt was much smaller than feared. Experts and former hospice leaders told iNewsSource they believe the organization could have been saved. Leo Castaneda, iNewsSource.
Californians say they strongly support the state's decision to increase the minimum wage to $15 an hour. A new Los Angeles Times poll finds a vast majority of registered voters think the wage hike will give low-income workers more money to spend and will result in lower employee turnover for businesses. However, about 90% of those polled think prices for consumers will go up because of the wage increase. California will phase in the wage hike over the next few years, hitting the $15 an hour mark in 2022. U.S. and Mexican industry leaders announced a historic agreement today to rebuild a bi-national railroad in southeastern San Diego County. Construction on the desert line will begin this summer. KPBS Fronteras reporter Jean Guerrero has the story.
The $70 million investment will connect Mexico's border region Maquiladoras to rail shipping in the U.S. It's a partnership between Pacific Imperial Railroad in the U.S. and Baja California Railroad in Mexico. The two companies' CEOs announced the agreement at a press conference with MTS, which owns the Desert Line. Jerry Sanders of the San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce says it will boost trade while decreasing traffic and emissions from commercial trucks.
The Desert Line will provide a vital route that takes trucks off our freeways, increases shipping capacity, and gets goods to marketplaces far more efficiently.
Reconstruction on the 70-mile stretch of railway has long been delayed due to border security concerns and a lack of sufficient financing. The railroad companies will be working with Customs and Border Protection and Mexican Migration to make sure the flow of goods is in compliance with the laws of both countries. The Desert Line Railroad is expected to be fully repaired and operational within the next 2 years. Jean Guerrero, KPBS News.
Start saving those $10 bills, theater fans, because Hamilton is coming to San Diego. The Broadway musical based on the life of founding father Alexander Hamilton is going to be part of Broadway San Diego's 2017-18 season. It was nominated for a record 16 Tony Awards and is sold out on Broadway through next year. Hot weather returns to San Diego with some cool spots along the coast. Steph Davis breaks down the timing in tonight's KPBS weather report.
Some clouds across the area this Thursday, even a little bit of mist earlier this morning, though conditions are continuing to improve across much of Southern California. You can still see that cloud cover building in with our satellite and radar, though we're looking at largely dry conditions. And that's what we can expect closer to home as well. Borrego Springs, south towards Campo and pushing all the way towards the coastline. We can expect a fairly quiet Thursday night weather-wise. Temperatures mild in Borrego Springs as we fall to 70 degrees with mostly cloudy skies, 55, and dry tonight in Mount Laguna. Temps in Alpine and Ramona back to the 50s as well, 63 with low clouds in Oceanside, and similar conditions tonight in San Diego. High pressure in control of the weather across much of the southwestern United States as we wrap up the work week on Friday. So we're looking at a tranquil pattern in place with a mix of clouds and sunshine and fairly seasonable temperatures. Here's a look at your 5-day outlook for the coast. Low clouds break for sun Friday and into the first half of the weekend Saturday with daytime highs at 72 degrees, right around 70 with low clouds breaking as we wrap up the weekend Sunday. Looking ahead to early next week, partly cloudy and 70 on Monday, sunny and pleasant down the coast on Tuesday with highs in the low 70s. Low clouds break for sunshine Friday and Saturday inland as we see daytime highs in the low 70s, 70 degrees Sunday and Monday with skies clearing for sun. Mostly cloudy on Tuesday inland. Your high temperature is 71 degrees. Taking a peek here across the mountains, your 5-day outlook showing a beautiful Friday, mostly sunny and nice, comfortably mild temperatures with your daytime high at 76 degrees. And then we'll notice a cooling trend as we head towards the weekend. Sunny and 72 on Saturday, mostly sunny Sunday, and temperatures struggle to break out of the 60s, though we'll rebound early next week. Sunny and nice on Monday, mostly sunny and warmer Tuesday with your high in the mountains at 76 degrees. Wrapping things up with your 5-day outlook across the deserts, wrapping up the work week on Friday, showing dry and sunny conditions. Your high is 97. Weekend looking mostly sunny Saturday and Sunday. Temperatures will fall from the mid-90s down to the low 90s as we wrap up the weekend. Sunshine Monday in the desert. Your high is 96. Plenty of bright sunshine Tuesday as highs push the triple digits. Steph Davis, KPBS News.
This year's monstrous El Nino, nicknamed Godzilla by NASA, is dead. It heated up the globe, but it didn't quite end California's 4-year drought. In its monthly update today, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration said the El Nino has ended 15 months after its birth in March 2015. El Nino is a natural warming of parts of the Central Pacific that changes weather worldwide. A new trail system may help improve safety for hikers in San Diego's East County mountains. U.S. Forest Service wants public comment on a proposal to build new trails around the Three Sisters Falls and the summit of Eagle Peak. The Forest Service responded to 24 hiker rescuers in the last 2 weeks, either from injuries or heat-related issues. A draft environmental assessment suggests either building a trail system, closing the current trail, or taking no action. Thanks to a new technique, scientists could fight diseases like malaria by rewriting the rules of genetic inheritance. But a new report says this gene drive approach is not ready for use in the wild. KPBS science reporter David Wagner explains why.
Gene drives would allow scientists to quickly spread modified DNA through animals, potentially altering entire species within a few generations. Scientists at UC San Diego were the first to show that gene drives could work in insects. Last year, they helped create a gene drive that stopped lab mosquitoes from transmitting malaria, which kills over 500,000 people each year. But the technique could change animals and ecosystems in unexpected ways. That's why experts released a report yesterday arguing gene drives should stay confined in labs and highly controlled field experiments, at least for now. Arizona State University professor James Collins co-chaired the panel.
This advance, which has the prospect of bringing a lot of benefits associated with it, must be approached cautiously.
The report was published by the National Academy of Sciences. David Wagner, KPBS News.
Farmers once had to walk the lengths of their fields to look for pests, disease, and water damage. Technology is changing all of that. In tonight's SciTech Report, producer Kevin Miller shows us how drones are helping farmers monitor their crops from new heights.
I was a non-family employee, became a partner, married Debbie Forbes, which her father Fred owned Forbes Farm. We just merged these two farms 3 years ago, so we currently milk 1,200 cows and farm 2,500 acres. I'm the crop manager here. I plant the corn, plant the grass. We have 5 employees that help in the field.
Dennis is a great customer of ours. He started out by having the basic GPS on his machines. I came aboard about 4 years ago and really educated him more and really got the most out of the technology, and he sees the value of it when he's out there in the field. Technology is becoming a regular piece of farming, whether it becomes tillage, planting, spraying, harvest. There are different pieces of technology that can be used throughout the entire cropping season. This is just another tool that the farmers can kind of put into the toolbox to help them be proactive against their crops, so they can be ahead of any outbreaks of pests. They can spot any water damage, compaction, really look at the field as a whole instead of walking in a few rows and just taking a look around to see, okay, this looks pretty good here. Maybe it's good here, but he can't see the outbreak of aphids on the other side of the field there. The drones will integrate right with his current GPS systems on the farm and be able to make prescriptions there in the wintertime to be able to stay ahead of things.
Drones are they're a thing of the future. It's all about efficiency. It's a lot faster to fly a drone over a field than it is to walk 1,250 acres of corn. It's impossible to walk at all. You can fly it and see it in one day.
Well, during the growing season, after the corn or any of the crop gets above the ground and starts to be emergent, we can start to use this technology. What we're going to do is we're going to sit in our office and we're going to go pull up on the computer program that it comes with. We're going to lay out a route. Where do we want this to fly? And it will autopilot. We're going to take it out to the field. We're going to turn it on. We're going to hit go. It's going to take off. It's going to fly a route over the cornfield, taking pictures every 2 seconds. On the drone, it comes with an infrared camera and a visual eye camera, okay? They're both taking pictures at the same time. Now, what I can do is mesh those together is what's going to give me the shader. I can then take these images, download them into the software, and stitch it to one large picture. Anything that's going to show up as green, it's going to be a healthy crop, it's good photosynthesis. Anything that shows up in yellow, you're getting some light reflected back, you've got some bare ground, you have some stress. Red, you got a real problem. So after you take this information, you can look at it, you can go out there and spot check. Look exactly what these problems are. You can take the drone and zoom right down on top of it. Is it an insect problem? Is it water? Is it compaction? You can make a proactive plan after that to try to get ahead of the problem before it becomes a permanent yield handicap.
Some of the things that we found with the drones are drainage issues, a lack of nutrients, disease in the corn.
This is really difficult for a lot of customers to actually take a hold of and grasp. A lot of farmers don't want the computer to tell them what to do. That computer is not going to tell me how to farm. It's not going to tell me how to drive a tractor. They have to really take a look and see where their deficiencies are. Where can they save some money from their waste, from their costs right now? When I can take this technology, show up to somebody's farm who's on the fence, and show them what they're missing, here's where we can save money, here's where you're losing money, put a dollar sign onto it. That's the key right there to really getting guys to take this. If you can say in 18 months you're going to pay back your entire investment into this system, boy, that doesn't really hold them back very much from making the purchase.
The corn's actually better than I thought it was going to be. It was so wet early on, we were pretty worried. All the new technology is making farming easier. We have auto steer on tractors. We push a button, it steers itself for us. You got drones, you got yield monitors on the chopper that can actually map the different yields, lay it over maps for soil type, and no, technology is a great thing for the dairy industry. That's how we can produce, that's how we're going to feed the world.
I think in 5 years you're going to see this as a regular technology on a lot of your larger farms, both your dairies and your crop farms. There's a place for these in orchards and your niche crops, your vegetables, where you got more of a higher commodity per capita. Within 10 years, you're going to see a lot of ASPs, ag service providers, coming out and doing this as a service. Possibly CAS equipment is one of them.
This is not a job to me. This is I don't look at this as a job. I come here, I get scheduled days off, but I actually come here most times on my days off. This is, I enjoy doing this, and it's not a job to me. It's a lifestyle.
You can see more tech stories like this on SciTech Now this Sunday at 5:30 on KPBS television.
I'm Gwen Eiffel on the next news hour. A travel warning in Europe and long airport security lines to get there. Questions for the Secretary of Homeland Security. That's Thursday on the PBS NewsHour.
He's the baby of the San Diego Zoo family. We told you about this little guy last week. The red-ruffed lemur is now 3 weeks old, and he's the first of its species to be born at the facility in 13 years. He currently tips the scale at 9.2 ounces. Keepers have officially called him Oni, which means river. Visitors will be able to see the lemur in the zoo's Africa Rocks exhibit, which opens in 2017. Snoop Dogg went out to the ball game in San Diego. The rapper took the mound and tossed a terrible first pitch at last night's Padres game against the Atlanta Braves. The speed was there, but the accuracy was not. Despite the ball going quite a bit outside, Snoop claimed on social media he threw the ball at 86 miles per hour. Here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. On Morning Edition, Oceanside farmers, chefs, and recycling experts are examining a new state mandate, how they're trying to save organic waste from landfills. And on Midday Edition, the founder of the so-called Bank for the Poor will deliver the keynote address at UC San Diego's commencement ceremony this weekend. That's tomorrow on KPBS Radio. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thank you for joining us and have a great evening.